Beck program. Well, I told you on this program before that there would come a time when people would just come out in the open. Yeah, we're socialists. Yeah, we're Marxists. And they are out in the open now, and they're changing the world. I'm going to show you more of this tomorrow. You don't want to miss tomorrow's program. But since we're talking about people that want to change the world, I want to show you the people that are changing the next generation. Look at teachers, and what they want to bring into the classroom. Watch.
We have to be involved in struggles for economic justice and to change the economic priorities of this system and to change the economic system as a whole. Because so many of us teachers spend so much time in frustration, we get into the classrooms to empower our students. And within the context in which we're teaching, it's nearly an impossible task.
You should see, this teacher goes on here. We'll expose more tomorrow. This teacher goes on to say, quote, "We have to promote the ideas of Marxism at the high school level or the elementary school level, but you have to be careful." That's tomorrow night. Abraham Lincoln said what is taught in the classrooms in one generation will be the policy of the government the next generation. Tonight, we're going to show you not only what the radicals, the street radicals are doing and what is coming, but I really want to focus on what this lady had on her t-shirt. It said, "Tax the rich." We're talking about the wrong rich. We really are. The wrong rich. There are those that are rich that are getting away with murder. We'll talk about that tonight. Well, hello, America. Yes. Tonight, I want to talk to you about two concepts. Everything is fine. Be prepared. Really, two camps in America. One of these two. Which are you? It wasn't controversial at all until recently to say be prepared. But if you say them today, you say those two words today, you're going to be labeled all kinds of crazy things. I want you tonight to look at the things around you. The things that provide you with the basic necessities of life. I want to talk about your food. I want you to talk about your money, even clothing, your house, the energy that keeps you warm, the gasoline in the car that you drive, the loan on the car that you have. Would you say that those things are stable? You know that this is, right now, how much is this box of Cheerios? It is in New York, so it doesn't say. It's probably about $47 in New York. Is it stable? They've all come under attack, and we have shown you how. We'll show you more tonight. But what is the consistent response from the media and all of the politicians? Is it, hey, we should be prepared because things they could get worse, and you should just be prepared? Or is it that everything is fine? They'll talk about the big picture, but not include you. Kind of like September 11th. You weren't included. You were told, go shopping. Everything's fine. We got it covered. You go shopping. Live your life. I think that's wrong. The Boy Scout motto was be prepared, wasn't it? The founder of the Scouts was once asked, be prepared for what? His answer, why, any old thing. He said he didn't want people just to be prepared for emergencies, but for life in general, so they could help others. Be prepared. Now, let's say that the Fed and the politicians and George Soros are right, and QE 38 starts causing money to shoot out of your pants. Just shooting right from the seat. Just money shoots out your pants. All across America. You're looking at your neighbor, you're like, money shooting out of your pants too. Well, then we'll all feel pretty stupid being prepared, won't we? No, not unless you're a Boy Scout. You won't if you're a Boy Scout. But you will if money is shooting out of everybody's pants. But if that doesn't happen, and there is a problem and everything's not fine, well then, what does that make you? Dependent. Dependent. Before you let your pride or your neighbor's pride speak and say, I'm independent, are you? Am I? The Declaration of Independence is what they wrote, the founders put together. The Declaration of Independence. Well, they couldn't have had independence if they needed the king to give them jobs, the king to tell them how to do business, the king to do everything. They would have had to declare the Declaration of Dependence, and that is what we have done over the many years since that document was written. And I think it's easy to underestimate how easy our lives are. Our lives, you may be working 3 jobs right now. But in America, we still have it pretty sweet because we've been stable. How quickly that stability can be taken away from it. It's a lesson that we learned on 9/11, but it seems fewer and fewer remember it every day. The World Bank just said that the world is one shock away from global crisis. Don't pay attention to the man behind me, because I think that looks like something that Saturday Night Live would do. That's really what he looks like, and that's what he said. The IMF just told France that the United States, quote, has no viable plan to reduce our debt. Does that concern you? Does that sound like everything is fine, or be prepared? Because I don't know of some sort of, do we have like a global crisis get out of jail free card? I'm not aware that we do. If somebody let me know. Our president and every person who feels responsible in life should be championing the cause of Americans preparing. And I would stand behind him 100%. But he and virtually everyone else is telling you, we got it. We got it. It's getting better. And it's the hate mongers over here that are causing trouble. The hate mongers on either side aren't causing this trouble. This trouble's been coming for a long time. So instead of America being prepared for anything, our collective pants are down around our ankles right now. People are everywhere. I don't mean to be crass, but if you ever sitting on the john and you're like in a public stall and somebody opens up the stall and you're like, hey, that's the way we're all going to be feeling soon. We're all going to be, hey, who's in here? People, your friends are going to be sitting, sorry about that one, Oscar, sitting at home without a clue as to what hit them. I don't know how they can't see it coming. Maybe it's just that people are choosing to ignore the skyrocketing gas prices. You see this sign? And this is, look at that, $5.19, $4.99 for regular. That's in Washington, D.C. I mean, how do you not know? How are your friends not saying, hey, we got problems? And by the way, are the politicians buying their own gas in D.C.? No. No, they actually have a gas pump that is underneath the Capitol building. They got a pump for them. It's bing, 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 bing. Fat cats. Do you see the story today? It's been happening for the last couple of days. Jobs. Now, jobs, we're celebrating the fact that McDonald's is hiring. God bless McDonald's. At least somebody is. And there is no shame making an honest living at McDonald's. McDonald's has profound opportunity for anybody who wants to work hard. But I'm sorry, McDonald's isn't exactly the savior of the economy. Is this what's going to pull us out? Hamburgers? Especially, that's not the road to prosperity when the First Lady is trying to make sure nobody eats at McDonald's, is it? Then you have the state office in Florida. They thought they would create an uplifting, kind of humorous campaign to cheer up the thousands and thousands of unemployed people seeking help finding a job. Oh, well, this agency didn't give them a job, but they did give them a cape. I'm not kidding. Capes. Because they wanted people to know that they have capability to get a job and vanquish Dr. Evil unemployment, a cartoon character that they spent your tax dollars on creating for this campaign. 6,000 capes were purchased for the low, low price of your money, $14,000. Well, what would you do with $14,000? Like you wouldn't waste it. In the understatement of the century, State Director Cynthia Lorenzo said the spending appeared to be insensitive and wasteful. Cynthia, appeared to be? Let me tell you something. Every single one of those employees should be fired. The whole section should be shut down. If I'm unemployed and you come ding dong, hey, Mr. Beck, you're unemployed, and you hand me a cape and tell me who's capable, I punch you in the face. It doesn't. Well, that part might cheer me up. The cape definitely doesn't. The state is now looking into the whole campaign. Quote, the campaign was met with derision by many unemployed. No. Who question spending more than $14,200 on capes and $2,300 on foam cutouts of Dr. Evil unemployment. You want to talk about unessential employees, it's these people that were working, coming up with this. Fire them all. So, I had a hard time getting around this one. The people were insulted with a cape and a cartoon saying, who's capable? Insulted. How? By the way, the extended benefits expired this month in North Carolina, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. The next states where the program will expire, Alaska, Alabama, Kansas, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. So is your job stable? Is your money stable? Is everything fine? Or should you maybe be prepared? I read a headline in the Washington Post today, or the Huffington Post, that was amazing. The financial system poses an even greater risk to taxpayers than before the crisis, according to analysts at Standard & Poor's. The next rescue could be about $1 trillion costlier, the credit rating agency warned.
And that's why I made passage of Wall Street reform one of my top priorities as president, so that a crisis like this does not happen again.
The message of this bill is clear. Banks, not the taxpayers, will pay for future bank failures, and consumers will be protected.
And it ensures that the cost of any future financial crisis will be borne by the financial industry, keeping taxpayers off the hook.
I signed into law a Wall Street reform bill that will protect consumers and our entire economy from the recklessness and irresponsibility that led to the worst recession in our lifetime.
Everything is fine. Go back to sleep. The recklessness of Wall Street, not Washington, Wall Street that made this happen, they just protected us. But again, may I go back to the Huffington Post? The potential for further extraordinary official assistance to large players in the U.S. financial sector poses a negative risk to the government's credit rating, S&P said in their report on Monday. Large players. Oh, like the ones we bailed out last time. And it hasn't been fixed because everything is not fine. S&P estimated the cost of the next, quote, crisis cleanup at 34% of the nation's annual economic output. The last one was a mere 26% of GDP. Stop worrying. That's only 60% of everything we make in a year going to the same group of people. Oh, don't worry. We'll just print it. That's it. And it'll never happen again. Sure, we've got 60% of our GDP being funneled where? Where exactly? Large financial corporations. Boy, it seems the rich do get richer, but not the rich of the 250,000 kind. We're talking Lehman Brothers, Citigroup. The president is talking about the wrong rich. Tax the rich, said the teacher. Small businesses are not the rich. George Soros is the rich. But I'm sure he thinks everything is fine, right? Because he's helped design a lot of this stuff. Mark my words, America, that financial regulation bill, the framework that the president was just talking about, will trap you, will control you. It will control your business, your job, the one that takes care of the real stuff, like the future of our currency, the operating rules of the House. That's still being designed. George Soros held another global conference that the media ignored, except for Bill O'Reilly. I saw him cover it. It wasn't a meaningless barbecue among friends. This was attended by influential leaders and economists from around the globe. Larry Summers, Paul Volcker were there. They're planning for a new global financial order, and one without the dollar as the standard for the world. Now, wait a minute. How's that possible? How is that possible? Because everything was fixed. They just assured us that it would never happen again. So what are they preparing for? Wait a minute, did I just use the P word? I apologize. They're preparing. What are your neighbors doing? They're preparing. Maybe your neighbors are just upset and outraged at GM. Do you remember we put $50 billion into GM? We had to do that because we had to save jobs. No, we did that to save the unions. $50 billion. Last November, Obama came and touted out their return to the stock market. Here it is.
American taxpayers are now positioned to recover more than my administration invested in GM. And that's a very good thing.
That is a very good thing. So we should get $50 million back as taxpayers. That's fantastic. Or is it billion? It's billion, isn't it? Million. Should get $50 billion back, or $50 billion and one. Wall Street Journal is reporting that the government now is in a hurry to sell off the remaining shares of GM, which they calculate will be a loss of $11 billion. So, but it's only a fifth of what you put in. Where's the outrage, America? What you're seeing is a show. You've got a very, very expensive ticket. You're right in the front row. But let's take a step back now towards the beginning and look at the handiwork of this administration. How's your job? They're making it difficult for small businesses, the main job creators. The Gulf moratorium crushed jobs, kept people from coming back. But we're handing out capes. Maybe you can fly to collect that unemployment check, because you can't pay for the gas. You don't have a job, and gas, fuel, wow, food. They haven't encouraged people to prepare for inflation or stock up on extra food. In fact, they've told us the whole time inflation isn't happening. Well, people are going to need help. Oh, that's right. We have food stamps. More people than ever before on food stamps. Gosh, I wish they would have prepared, huh? Fuel. President's stated policy is to have energy prices necessarily skyrocket. Gas is approaching $4 a gallon, $5 at a D.C. gas station. We told you just a minute ago. Obama, nothing but heard it with a Gulf ban. Jobs and energy. One stroke of a pen. How great is that? And stoking the flames and starting another war in the Middle East. Now let me get down to this. Your money. Because this is really, this represents your work. This is your time. Time is money. You've put a lot of time, some more than others. You may have worked your whole life to save enough of these to retire. Well, now respected economists now say that the best way out of this mess is to inflate our way. We printed so much money, it's now that we're standing around the Oval Office cheering on inflation. Stimulus, TARP, QE1, QE2, QE, what does that stand for? That's right, quantitative easing. Has anybody asked, what exactly are we easing? Is it the stress on the American people or the stress on the banks? I'm not sure what the banks are stressed out for, because it's pretty clear no matter what happens, the government will bail them out. I think we're easing into a new financial world order. Because for all of our troubles, and they're big, we're still hanging on as the dominant economy in the world. But the redistribution social justice radicals out in the world want to knock us down, take us down a few steps, a few pegs. What is the way to do that? Well, first you have to convince everybody that capitalism is bad, the banks are greedy, Wall Street, that's who's causing the problems. They're making all the money, you're not. You're looking at the wrong bad guys. This is a shell game. The bad guys should be ratted out and fired. Some of them on Wall Street, some of them in banking, but not all of the bad guys. Banks are good. Let me give you some specifics. Let's sick the Department of Justice, if that actually was anything anymore, on all of the fat cat bankers. The president is calling them fat cat bankers. Let's get them. Let's get the bad guys. Why would we have vigilantes do that? Why do you have unions and thugs doing that? Get the bad guys. That's unpegging from logic and reason to have the thugs go do that. Let me ask you this. Who's giving the money to the banks? Because it's not the Treasury. It's not the Treasury. They don't have any money. They don't have a discount window. Who has the discount window? Who says, here, take the money. Just pay us back and give us some interest? The Fed. The Fed. Bill Gross, the manager of the world's largest mutual fund, said the dollar is in danger of losing 20% of its value if the Federal Reserve continues with quantitative easing. I want to show you what that means and ask you, is everything fine or should you be prepared? Next. There's two choices, be prepared or everything is fine. One of them is going to be right in the end. Before the break, I told you that Bill Gross, the manager of the world's largest mutual fund, said the dollar is in danger of losing 20% of its value if the Fed continues with quantitative easing. Now, I haven't believed them for a long time, okay? That's why I went out, I bought this gold coin. It's an ounce. When I bought it, it was $670 for this one coin. Put it away. This $670 today broke another record, $1,505. Is that better or worse? I purchased this silver at $15 just around the holidays. $15 for an ounce. It's now $44. Now let me just show you. Here's the difference. Remember, this $670, now $15.50. $15.05. This, $15, and now $44. This, when I worked for this just like you did. When I worked for this, it was worth $1. It's now worth 80 cents. Which, this is everybody is fine. And this is be prepared. Which one do you end up with in the end? Which one leaves you with anything? Be prepared for the world to change. Joe, could you please, these make me nervous, could you please give these to the guy with a gun? Go put him in the bank. We're being taught to hate. We're being taught to hate. And it's a diversion. You got to blame it on somebody. We're being taught to hate the banks and Wall Street, the rich. Well, who's on the front lines of all of this? Because there's no specifics. The rich, the banks, they're not all bad. Francis Fox Piven is encouraging to tap into people's anger, the youth, the useful idiots swept up, young communist, socialist, anarchist groups. I want to show you some pictures. This is in Olympia, Washington. Anarchists violently protested at a bank, broke a bunch of windows, graffitied the building. We've seen these anarchists in Greece and London wearing hoods and masks while causing violent chaos, shooting paint bombs and light bulbs filled with ammonia at police officers, because banks are bad. Banks are bad. Rich are bad. Let me speak directly to the communists and the youth that are in these groups. I have news for you. You're a dope. You're being used. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to not see this? Do you really think you're on the same side as George Soros? You're on the same side as many of the people in power already. You really think they're going to have use for you in your little black outfit with the hood and the light bulb? Please, please, you're a dope. George Soros isn't a communist. He's not going to institute communism. What do you think they're doing at Bretton Woods? Were any of your communist friends, were they there? Even if Van Jones were president, communism wouldn't be shoved down people's throats. There's too much money at stake. It's just who has the money. And I got news for you. You're not going to have it. They will. So why are they doing it? Why are they telling you? Let me ask you this. Who's winning right now? Is it Soros or the glorious worker? who's the power going to shift to? The working stiff? Or Van Jones and his buddies, who will profit off the system? Will it be you or the big financial institutions that are screwing you now? Everybody knows about it. Nobody's doing it. The same people who are saying those fat cats are bad aren't arresting them now. Why not arrest them? Why not use the system? I mean, you might get a sweet cape when it's all said and done. You can fly wherever you want to. Maybe you can fly to Cuba. Congrats on that. But the rest of America is in for a bumpy ride. The Black Panthers, whose case was mysteriously dropped by the DOJ, also staging some protests coming up this Saturday. The campaign is a national day of action and unity, and they're urging followers to boycott all non-black businesses. Wait, what happened to the unity talk? And they're looking for rallies, marches, demonstrations, programs, and confrontations, end quote. Maybe the media should look into this. I can't tell you how many days I wake up thinking, I've got to find a good confrontation. Their website says, quote, we are trying to vigilantly taking to the streets, police stations, protests, or projects, courthouses, state capitals, house of racists, morgues, jails, and anywhere our people can be found and the fight can be found for justice. We'll rattle the enemy and those who are asleep to show to and prove to the world that we are wide awake. Just in case they're still mistaking me for a racist, I do have beware of guard dog signs up around my house. I wouldn't recommend. We told you on this program that they would target banks. SEIU leader Stephen Lerner, that's his dream. It's starting to happen now. We told you that when they got desperate, when it was ready, spring the trap, they would use racist and racism. We've seen that, the Tea Parties with no basis. And now come the Black Panthers, the thugs, looking for confrontations at people's houses or wherever they can cause trouble. You dopes. Communist anarchists, you with your cute little black masks or your little army uniform that makes no sense at all, you are being used. If you think Soros cares about you and your little Black Panther party, please, please. If you think you're going to win against him, please. You're a dope. The rest of America, prepare yourself. Make a choice. They have united forces. The Black Panthers now lining up with the Nation of Islam. Wait a minute, that's like right here on this board. Can you get this with 6? Radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists, right here. I wrote it. That they would work together to overturn stability and capitalism. Wait a minute, that's crazy talk. Remember? They're not doing that. Except now they clearly are doing that. Buckle up, America. Be a force for good. I'll show you how in the next few minutes. What will America use for energy? We know that China will use coal since they're building a new coal-fired plant in the equivalent of every week, and oil since they're exploring and drilling and importing an incredible amount of oil. But we, on the other hand, I don't know what we're out of options, really. During this wonderful Earth Week, green is universal, you know, we're commemorating the 1-year anniversary of the unthinkable catastrophe in the Gulf. So, we can't drill anymore. I mean, Brazil can in the same water, but we can't. The Japanese nuclear accident causing alarm over the prospect of nuclear power, and the president, in addition to threatening to bankrupt the coal industry during the campaign, added this gem to the coal industry yesterday.
The challenge with coal is that although it's very cheap, it's also dirty. And it can create the kinds of air pollution that not only is contributing to climate change, but it's also creating asthma for kids nearby.
Kids nearby.
You got asthma. Okay. And so sucking that stuff in is not ideal.
It's causing, for kids, not adults, kids. Really, we should send them directly to the emergency room early, don't you think?
It costs they just gave them treatment early, and they got some treatment and a breathalyzer or an inhalator. Not a breathalyzer.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Was he thinking an inhaler maybe? I'm not really sure. You give him a breathalyzer test, that might not help an asthma patient unless we're trying to figure out how much coal dust is in there. Asthma is not caused by coal, Mr. President. Some environmental irritants like pollution can trigger an attack, but coal does not give one asthma. And that's just according to the crazy crackpots at the National Institute of Health. But who's counting here? Let's keep in mind, this president, not really good on medical issues. Remember when he said the doctors were amputating people's feet and tonsils just to make extra cash? Never heard that before, but he has. Back to energy, though. What will power our nation when these guys are through with us? Coal. You know how much, everything that comes out of that little magic little holes in the wall that you like plug things into, it's just magic energy. How much of that is created by coal? 45% of America's energy production, coal. He wants it eliminated. Nuclear, how much? 20%. Oh, this is great. Oil, coal, and nukes, they're off the table. Guess what? According to the Dallas Morning News today, NRG Energy, they're the second largest power generator in Texas, of all places, will be ending a project to build 2 new nuclear reactors. Quote, the project was doomed when a financial partner, Tokyo Electric Power Company, saw its reactors in Japan explode after the earthquake. We have concluded that financially this is the end of the line for us. And even if the project is resurrected, it would have to be fueled by someone else's financial resources. Can I ask you a question? You think there's any chance that all this might be the end of line for all nukes? Do you think? Maybe. And then we get the happy news today from the Supreme Court that they're about to turn over the global warming case to the EPA. The lawsuit in 6 states and New York City to force major power companies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions because of evil coal. Little sick little British children without any pets or a dog, and they're walking with a little, they've got a little, I've got a little limp, I've got to get along, and oh, if I could get home to mommy, but it's all this coal. They have to reduce all of those evil emissions. Now that could be in the hands of the EPA, and that's going to go well. The same EPA who once, until recently, was headed by socialist Carol Browner. I love Carol. Is that a picture of her? No, we don't have her. She later became, there she is. Oh, she's so sweet. We should give her a cape. She later became Obama's climate czar, and now she's gone home to feather her nest in the Center for American Progress, where all good socialists go when they're done at the White House. Hello, George Soros. Good job, Carol Browner. Lisa Jackson is now the current head of the EPA, and she is all about environmental justice and redistribution wrapped in green. Those are quotes. Redistribution wrapped in green. Here she is on environmental justice.
Environmental justice at its root is a recognition that there is unfinished business from the last 40 years, and much of that unfinished business is concentrated in low-income and minority neighborhoods.
Much unfinished business. Here's the EPA. What she could, you know what she's talking about? I think she's talking about redistribution of wealth. What do you think? By the way, Time magazine is running a story now that your ice maker is destroying the planet. I thought making all that white ice would help make things cooler. We don't have any power to make ice makers with, or have power the ice maker to make ice pretty soon. There may not be enough trucks to get household appliances to your home. In California, trucking companies are saying that they may go out of business. Trucking companies, as a result of new state rules from California's Air Resources Board called CARB. And finally, despite what the administration is claiming, the Wall Street Journal has a new report out predicting the deep water oil drilling bans will cut domestic oil production. That certainly isn't helping with the cost of gasoline at the pump, is it? Our offshore production, which mostly comes from the Gulf, is expected to be down 13% this year. What are we going to use for energy? Do we even need energy? I don't need it in third world countries, so they don't have it. Back in a minute. Earlier we told you that more of your money may be going to bail out the banks, another 32% of our GDP. So what can we do about it? Well, the Nation had an idea. Instead of the fake populism of the Tea Party, there's a movement based on real populism. It shows that there's an alternative to making the poor and middle class pay for the crisis caused by the rich. Please be more specific on the rich. The inspiration for the article, a group called UK Uncut. Well, now they have a spin-off. A group that describes itself as a grassroots movement taking direct action against corporate tax cheats and unnecessary, unfair public service cuts all across the U.S. U.S. Uncut is a horizontal movement. There are no centrally planned protests on their website. They have all kinds of great tools there, like they recommend different chants and songs and even signs, like these signs. These are great. America's not broke. Really? It's not? That's weird. I want to show you a recent protest that took place in San Francisco at the Bank of America, which U.S. Cut calls a primary target. Call Sarah Palin, they're targeting somebody. You tell me if they're organized at all.
U.S. Uncut is here. U.S. Uncut is here. U.S. Uncut is here. U.S. Uncut is here, and we're in effect.
Okay, they brought a marching band. That's a spontaneous marching band. It's like, I happen to have a tuba. You have a drum, please. And the spontaneous dance choreography. Everybody just happened to guess the song lyrics to U.S. Uncut is here. I don't trust U.S. Uncut. You want to know why? Their own website says, also remember to visit U.S. Uncut for some inspiration. See you on the streets. Now they say, go see the UK Uncut. Well, what is the UK Uncut? That's the group that The Nation wrote about. The same group that saw more than 130 members get arrested after the mass protest on March 26. This is UK Uncut. And they're recommending, go look at these guys. See what these guys are doing, huh? Is that cool? Yeah. That's not the flash mob kind of action that... I kind of like the tuba guys better. I asked you to be a part of Force for Good about a month ago. A flash mob of kindness. Is that happening? That's next. I do ask for your trust on this one thing. If you have noticed at all and kept track of our record, we have a pretty good record on this program of seeing what's coming. And trouble is coming, and we just showed you some more of it. I asked you about a month ago if anybody would do a flash mob of kindness. It's important that you are seen and known by members of your community, for when times break down, there's somebody of sanity they can trust. I asked you a month ago to get a group together and spread some love, organize something, be a force for good, whether it's donating clothing and giving it to a homeless shelter, or giving food to a homeless shelter, or going to an unemployment office and handing out bags of groceries, or helping in a soup kitchen, helping families of the troops. I asked you to come up with ideas and inspire others. Millions of people can make a huge, huge difference. There are others just out there that are out there just like you. Some who are meeting in groups, and they're going to be doing things. The Pinellas Patriots in Florida. These are just different groups that are, this is just from meetup.com. These are groups that are doing something tomorrow. Pinellas Patriots in Florida plan to donate a grocery bag of food to a group that helps the working poor each. Omaha, people are gathering to pray and then delivering supplies to an open mission home. Park City, Utah, joining others at a Peace House. It's a shelter for victims of domestic abuse. They're going to be donating Easter baskets to the kids who spend time there. If you do this, people will see you. And what are they going to say? Oh, the Koch brothers are organizing AstroTurf movements to help people. Yeah, diabolical, isn't it? You'd be making a positive difference, helping someone who needs it, and being a beacon of hope. So when times get worse and you've got the marching band and the let's destroy all capitalism people will look at you and go, I think I'm going to be with you. It's important that you help your neighbors remember these three things: faith, hope, and charity. That project I told you about a month ago is tomorrow. Find out more at freedomconnector.com and Facebook and glenbeck.com, all over. Connect with someone tonight. Make a difference tomorrow. Tomorrow, when you wake up, just think flowers and random acts of kindness. From New York, good night, America.